Good evening, tubers. Matt and Roy back once again. Back to you with Baxter somewhere over there. There he is, just peeking over the box there. Well, this is my 210-pound celebration live stream. I honestly can't believe I made it to here. It still astonishes me thinking about my journey. I'm going to go into a little background story here. For those of you that haven't been following me for too long, this all started back around September of 2017. So we're talking about almost 2 years. At that time, I weighed 335 pounds. So I kind of made a conscious decision. Actually, my mother and I together made a conscious decision that we needed to get into shape. She was nowhere near as bad as I was, but we both were dreadfully out of shape. And it was kind of a turning point for me. I had just celebrated my 34th birthday, and I said to myself, I'm 34 years old. I'm over 300 pounds. How much longer can I keep up this weight without having significant health problems in my future? And honestly, I said to myself, not that much longer. I already had diabetes. I had fairly high blood pressure, not ridiculously high, but high enough to where I had to be on medication for that as well. So out of those two things, the one thing I didn't have, oddly enough, was high cholesterol. My cholesterol was actually still pretty good. So basically, I said to myself, I am going to do what we call a lifestyle change. I'm going to change not only the way I think about food, but the way I think about exercise and basically living in general. That's when I decided to set up an exercise regimen where I walk at least 3 to 4 miles a day. I actually started at 3 miles and I went up to four and kept going. And I cut out a lot of the junk food. Actually, for the first year and a half, I didn't eat any junk food at all. Now I've added some of that back into my diet. I also cut out beef and a lot of pork. So just pretty much leaving in chicken and vegetables. And in almost 2 years, I have gone from 330 pounds down to 210 pounds. Now, you may not think that is a lot of weight for the time. And if you look at things like The Biggest Loser, no, it's not. Those people lose that much weight in a season, so maybe in 3 or 4 months. But the problem with that kind of weight loss is you gain that weight back like 9 times out of 10. These people are gaining at least some of that weight back. And I think the statistic was 60% gained significant amount. And I think it was like 40 to 50% actually gain more weight back than they originally lost. So for me, I realized the only way to lose this weight and keep it off was to totally change my lifestyle and to lose the weight slowly, gradually over a significant period of time. And that is really what I have done. Now, I know we have a lot of questions and comments here. Let's see what we got going on. Nick Roberts says, celebrate good times on. Kraken says, I drink lots of water and cut back on eating. Water is extremely important. As a society, we don't drink enough water. As most of you know already, I keep my water jug next to me, and I always take sips. Ideally, there are sites out there that'll tell you how much water you should drink in the day, but what I can tell you is you drink a little bit more than your body tells you to. That way you always stay hydrated. And link I shared up top, and it's healthyweightforum.org. It's a link to the new interactive BMI calculator. For those of you that don't know, BMI stands for Body Mass Index. That's basically the amount of your body weight that is fat. I use this one. This is the one my doctor turned me on to. For years, they've used a single BMI calculator to calculate your body mass index. But recently, they found that there was a flaw in it. It actually, for taller people like me, it would make us think we were heavier than we actually are. It actually, and then for shorter people, it makes them think they're thinner than they are. So for those people that are like right in the middle, the average height, for them, it was accurate. But for tall people and short people, it wasn't. So this is the one that I use. Most doctors now agree that this is the calculator to go with. I put in my weight, 210 pounds, height 6 feet 2 inches, and my new BMI, my current BMI is 25.6. So believe it or not, even though I have lost all of this weight, an itchy nose, I am still technically in the overweight category. An average weight or normal healthy weight range is a body mass index of 18.5 to 25. So I'm very close. I'm within 0.5, 0.6 of actually having a normal body weight. If you go by this particular BMI calculator. Now, if I was to use the old one, I'm still at about 26.5% body fat. So this is the one I would highly recommend going with. It's definitely more accurate, and heck, it'll make you feel a lot better. WWSSASS, you inspired me to lose 150 plus pounds. Thank you. That is awesome. I am so glad when I hear these success stories, because I think a lot of people that see my weight loss and fitness videos do a lot of what I say, but I never seem to be hearing a lot about it. I know a lot of you guys out there like the tech videos, but this is very important. And this is something I am extremely passionate about right now. I want to get this information out because as a society, we rely too much on listening to the talk show hosts, the TV doctors, and a lot of them are promoting these fad diets. The Atkins diet, the keto diet, the eat all you want as long as it's a banana diet. Diets don't work. I have been on and tried every diet under the sun. I was on the Richard Simmons Deal a Meal. I did Atkins. I never did keto because by that time I realized diets just don't work. And they would help me lose a little bit of weight, usually 10 to 20 pounds, which was really water weight to begin with. And then I would have to go off the diet because I couldn't handle what they were asking me to do. And I inevitably just gained the weight back and then more usually. The worst one, and I'm not saying that I don't like him, it was the Richard Simmons Deal a Meal, because when I was on that, you basically had cards, and you say you ate a banana and oatmeal for breakfast. You'd be moving over two of the fruit and vegetable cards, or fruit cards, I should say. And then if you had like protein for lunch, you'd have to move the protein card over. Well, to start with, at that time, it had me on a 1,000-calorie a day diet. And this was at a time when I was 6 feet tall and maybe 240 pounds. I couldn't do it. By the end of the day, I was so hungry that I had no energy left but to lay in bed and sleep. And that was like at 6 p.m. So my suggestion to you, and I can only make suggestions, is if you follow what I have done, chances are you are going to be successful. You're going to do it slowly. You're going to make small changes slowly, gradually, and over time, it might take 2 or 3 years, you will see the results. I mean, heck, I am within 10 pounds of my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal weight as of right now is 200 pounds. I'm not going to try to get any lower than that. Any lower than that would not be healthy for somebody in my body size, let's just say. But for you, it might be different. That's why I want to share that BMI calculator, because you guys can look that up and figure out what your ideal weight should be. Dabbler's Buffet. Hey, Mr. O, I have a suggestion for how you can improve your channel. What about updating your channel trailer? Yeah, I do need to do that. It's been a while. The one you have on the channel has been up for 4 years. Yeah, I was watching that the other day, and that was when I was pretty much at my heaviest. I was probably all of 350 plus pounds in that picture. Good suggestion. Nick Roberts says Richard Simmons is a fruitcake. Believe it or not, he isn't. I know that for a fact, but yeah, I could see where you might think that. Robert Jones says, Matt, have you ever heard of a pill two ladies went on Shark Tank to sell? No, I haven't, but if it's a diet pill, I wouldn't be surprised. There are a lot of diet pills out there, and generally they don't work. Back in the day, I went on that Fen. If you guys are old enough to remember Fen, that was a big thing back around the year 2000, the turn of the century. And it was supposed to speed up your metabolism, and it did that. But the side effect of that was it also caused your heart rate to increase. And a lot of people had heart damage from being on that. And eventually it was pulled off the market, I think 2 or 3 years later. And I took it for about a month and I had to stop because my heart started racing. I'm like, yeah, this is ridiculous. Though I will tell you something that has helped me recently jumpstart my metabolism again, because my metabolism had slowed down a little bit. I started to plateau right around the 220 mark. And that is the apple cider vinegar. I take the tablets. Now, you can drink apple cider vinegar like straight, but it's really hard. You have to really like the taste of vinegar, and it's not really that great for your teeth either. So my recommendation is just to take the pills. They're cheap. You get like 100 of them for $3 or $4, and they do work. It actually improves your metabolism without the side effect of making your heart race. Eric said, wasn't there one called Ally or something? I think there is. I believe it's still on the market. On the back of a bottle, it advertised to wear dark colored pants. I don't remember that. I do remember hearing about Ally or ALLI, but I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I don't recommend anything fad. So any fad diets and like diet pills, they just don't seem to work. I've never met somebody that told me they lost any significant amount of weight and kept it off with diets or diet pills. I just have yet to see it. I mean, you know what? You could change my mind, but I've never seen that happen. Sonic Wang, don't make me put you in timeout, please. Let's keep this family friendly. Oh, okay, I get it. Now I get it. What Eric was saying. We got 7 people here. I was hoping that we'd have a few more people here. Honestly, I know that a lot of you out there have been following this lifestyle change, and I really would like to hear the results. I mean, if you're out there and I have inspired you to change your lifestyle, give me give me some detail. Let me know what you've actually done. Did my advice work? Did you use some of it and add something to it? Because I'm always interested in people's ideas. I have a clear, concise plan for what works for me, but what works for me might not necessarily work for you. I mean, give you a great example. I mean, I eat oatmeal 2 times a day. I usually have oatmeal for breakfast and oatmeal for dinner, and then I have something like a chicken salad sandwich and soup for lunch. Well, I know a lot of people out there can't eat oatmeal. It gives them indigestion. So let me know what works for you. Eric goes, the only change I made was cutting out the sugary drinks, and I'm down like 35 pounds or so. Yes. And I'll tell you something, you don't even necessarily have to cut out sugary drinks altogether. You just need to cut out the ones that have high fructose corn syrup. Those are the worst. Those are the worst offenders. And I've touched on this before on my channel. But high fructose corn syrup acts very differently on your body than regular pure cane sugar or even granulated white sugar. Basically, what it does is it raises your raises your blood sugar higher, and it keeps it there for longer than regular sugar does. The reason that the manufacturers use it now is, surprise, surprise, it's cheaper than real sugar, and they've been using this since the early to mid 1980s, most of them. And do you know there is a correlation between the start of the obesity epidemic in the US and around the country as well, and the introduction of high fructose corn syrup into a lot of food products, sugary drinks, and other things as well. And the doctors are only now beginning to realize how bad the high fructose corn syrup is for your diet and for your body. Now, I don't want you guys to get confused. There is a difference between high fructose corn syrup and corn syrup like you use in baking. Like if you were to bake, I don't know, what do you use corn syrup in? Like, I think people put it in brownies and stuff like that. But look it up yourself and you'll see how bad it is. And what I do now is when I'm out buying treats, if I want to buy like pre-made brownies or maybe a cake, like a scooter pie or like a individual cake or something like that, I look at the ingredients, and if I see high fructose corn syrup listed, I move on. I put it down. I find something that just has regular sugar. It's a lot different. It really is. Eric Brunhammer goes, I need to go back to Amish country and get more root beer. It's homemade and sweetened with honey instead of sugar. It's another great option. I know a lot of people, especially older people, that sweeten their drinks, their food with honey. I give you a great example. When I want oatmeal now, most of the times I use fresh blueberries, fresh strawberries, and I sweeten it with maple syrup. And I use pure maple syrup, not like Mrs. Butterworth or Log Cabin, the fake stuff, because that a lot of times, again, has that nasty word, high fructose corn syrup. And there are a lot of options out there. It really amazes me that if you really look and do your research, you can eat and drink very healthy things that still taste good. Nick Roberts says, 63 to 68 kilograms, give or take. I'll have to convert that because we're here in the US, we use pounds. Okay, so 150 pounds. Depending on your height, that seems pretty good, actually. So my uncle's about that weight, though he is really, really thin. I don't expect to ever get as thin as him, but like I said, 200 pounds, I'd be very happy. Uh-oh, Eric's having laptop issues with heat. You got to put on a thermal pad. Dabbler's Buffet says, have you ever heard of agave sweeteners? Yes, I have. As a matter of fact, when I make my honey oat bread in the bread maker, I don't use honey. I actually use agave nectar because it tastes very similar and it's easier to use. It's much thinner than honey, so I can put it in the measuring cup and pour it into the bread maker and not have half of it stick to the cup. What I used to do before is I used to use honey. I used to soften it or melt it in the microwave just so I could pour it in there. And again, it is much healthier for you. Robert Jones says, for me, it is hard to replace the taste of sugar. I'm not asking you to. I'm not telling you. As a matter of fact, if you want to use real sugar, that's actually good for you. But try using something like pure cane sugar. Instead of using white granulated sugar, I go into Kroger, which is one of our local grocery stores, and I get the packets of sugar in the raw. And I'm telling you, it tastes exactly the same. The only difference is it hasn't been bleached or modified. It's basically what they get out of the sugar cane. And you could tell the difference because it's not white, it's actually brown. And it tastes exactly the same, and it's infinitely better on your body. Nick Roberts says, my laptop right now sounds like a jet engine. And then Eric's like, right now I'm editing a video and this thing is getting really hot. Yeah, I'm not going to go, I'm not really going to go into any tech here other than that, but I will say if that's the case, you need to get yourself a really good chill pad. I have a couple of them for mine because my laptop can get really hot at times too. Eric goes, also not to be confused with brown sugar. That is a good point. A lot of people think pure cane sugar is brown sugar. It's not. Brown sugar is usually white granulated sugar that has been colored with molasses. Now, the case of brown sugar at Aldi is different. I've been in Aldi, and their brown sugar, at least their light brown sugar, is pure cane sugar with a little bit of molasses. But you got to be careful. Not all brown sugar is made equal. Quite a bit of them out there use the white granulated sugar, and they just put the molasses in there. Dabbler's Buffet says unbleached stuff is better than bleached, like with saltines and sugar. Absolutely, or bread. Yeah, I just saw that. I just saw that. Very good point. I make my own bread for the most part. I rarely eat bread that has bleached flour. Now I say rarely because there are times that I get the New York Kaiser rolls. I really do like those for a treat, and they are made with bleached wheat flour. But when I make my own bread at home, I actually make white bread. It sounds really funny, but what it's actually made out of is unbleached white wheat flour. And you can look it up. There is such a thing. It's actually flour that is made from wheat, but it's actually white wheat. And I get that because it actually makes for better bread. If you use regular bleached all-purpose flour to make bread in a bread maker, 9 times out of 10, the bread's going to fall. And it actually tastes really good. Believe it or not, it tastes exactly like the white bread you would buy in store. But again, it's a lot better for you. And with my recipe, I actually sweeten that bread with the pure cane sugar. It actually requires you to put in like I think it's 4 tablespoons or no 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. Instead, I use 4 tablespoons of the cane sugar, and it works just fine. So you can substitute healthier options in your recipes. You just got to do the research, and it's trial and error sometimes. Realize that maybe one time you might mess up a recipe, but if you substitute a item and it works, then great, keep doing it. Yeah, Robert, no problem. Like I said, I'm here to give you guys options out there. Eric goes, and confectioner sugar is something different altogether. Yeah, it is. I'm not even sure what that is made out. I'll have to read the bag. And believe me, I like to cook, but I am not a baker. Baking is like my least favorite thing to do, unless it's my bread. I don't like baking brownies. I don't like baking cookies. I'm just not good at it. Some people are good at all kinds of cooking, including baking. Some people can just bake and they can't cook. I can cook, but I'm not good at baking at all. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact I don't want to eat what I make, so I don't have a lot of passion for it. The other thing is, it just doesn't really interest me. What you doing? What you doing, Baxty? I'll let you out when the stream's over. Go relax. Good boy. He's lazy. Of course, it's been storming out, as you might have seen in my earlier stream. Eric Brunhammer goes, I'm okay at baking, but I don't have the interest either. I might have to try my hand at baking one more time. I got some pre-made cheesecake. It's actually chocolate cheesecake brownie mix with raspberry in it from Ollie's the other day on clearance. And I picked it up because the mix does not have any high fructose corn syrup, and I may have to try my hand at that because, as I said earlier, I am introducing some junkier food back into my diet, and that is something I like to have every once in a while. Well, thank you, Pradkins. Pradkins14 thinks you're cute, Baxty. Yeah, you're a good kitty. Good kitty. He's a lazy kitty. It amazes me that he has kept his weight off. As much as he eats and as little as he exercises, I'm surprised he isn't a fat, obese cat. Ooh, Eric says he's going to make some sweet potato cheesecake. My mother makes a good one too. I don't know if you're going to use the same recipe she does, but that's actually pretty good for you too. Except for the fat aside, that does not actually have any bad sugars in it either, just regular sugar. And once again, when you bake, you can actually try to use the pure cane sugar instead of the white granulated sugar. Most of the time, it works the same way. Man, I am so dry right now. And I'm actually surprised because it is really humid out. So when it's humid outside, I'm usually not this dry in the throat. Oh, don't we all, Nick? Nick Roberts likes cheesecake late at night. I used to do that a lot too. That was one of the worst things. And I'm glad you reminded me of that because one of the worst things you can do if you're trying to lose weight is to eat at night. I religiously stop eating at around 4 p.m. Sometimes it's a tad over, maybe quarter after 4:30. But after that, I pretty much eat nothing. There are occasions where if I have a bad taste in my mouth, I'll grab a mint, an Altoid or something. But just doing that, giving your body the chance to recuperate, work through the food you've eaten all day overnight, will help you lose weight. And if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, will immensely help your blood sugar levels. Now, Baxter doesn't need to go on a diet. If anything, he could actually gain a few pounds. He's really thin. I mean, for a house cat, he's probably a little too thin. Eric goes, just never eat New York cheesecake in British Columbia, Canada. It is not New York cheesecake at all. That's like ordering Italian food in the South. It just doesn't taste right. Though I will have to say, there is one restaurant around here called Paradise Pizza. It's in one of the really bad sections of Portsmouth, and it's kind of a dive. The building is run down. It's not. It's kind of skeevy, but I'll be honest with you, they have the best Italian food I've ever had around here. They have a dish that I get. It's tortellini Italiano, one of my absolute favorites, and it is a healthy dish pretty much. It's meatless. It's tortellinis with feta, mozzarella cheese, and it's also got some Alfredo. It's actually sitting in Alfredo sauce. So yes, it is higher in fat because it's got all that cheese there. But they put spinach on top of it. So good. They actually bake it in the salamander, the what do you call it? The broiler. It's one of the best dishes I've ever had, and it's vegetarian. Again, no meat in that. So if you're out, if you're eating out, yeah, that's another thing we should discuss while I have some time. If you're eating out a lot, you will have problems losing weight. And I'm not talking about just fast food restaurants, though they are the worst offenders. Going to even like places like I just discussed, kind of like diners, drive-ins, and dives, going to one-off places that are not franchises. They all tend to use more salt, more spices than a lot of us would at home, and they add a lot of like sugars, and they'll also put in a lot of cheese. So if you're doing this on a regular basis, you are going to have a hard time losing weight. So my recommendation to you is if you are on a serious lifestyle change, limit yourself to eating out once a week. I know for a lot of us that's hard. With our lifestyles, we're on the go all the time. It's more convenient just to stop at the restaurant, grab a bite to eat, than it is to eat at home. But if you spend that little extra time in the morning, making your lunch, and then, try to eat at home for dinner and breakfast as well, you will see results, and it will be significant. Oh my goodness. Oh, nose is so itchy right now. Robert Jones, craving in the night drive through here. I come used to be what I would do. Yeah, in my heavier days, it wouldn't be uncommon for me to head out to McDonald's for a couple of McDoubles around 8:30, 9 p.m. Or back then, I think they were just double cheeseburgers because they were $1 a piece. And heck, I mean, that's a great deal. And that actually brings up another point. A lot of people out there will overeat and eat the wrong foods because it's cheap. It is cheaper to eat off the dollar menu at McDonald's or Burger King than to cook a healthy meal at home. I mean, it just is. And unfortunately, a lot of people are getting obese out of necessity. That's the food they can afford to eat. And if you're living on minimum wage, let's say you make, I don't know, 20,000, 25,000 a year for your family, that's about what you can afford. And that has been a big problem in this country. What we need to do is make healthier food cheaper. And there are ways to do that. One that I'm not a big proponent of, but it might be the best way, is to subsidize it. And that means, excuse me, that means that the government would, help pay like a subsidy for people buying healthier options, or maybe another option would be to make it tax free. In my state, at least, food is taxed the same as any other goods would be. If we were to remove the tax from healthy food, then maybe people would be able to afford it and they'd be more apt to buy it. So there are a lot of good options out there, but I don't know. Nothing seems to be done about it. Now, I'm not trying to get as radical as like the mayor of New York did when he put a 15% tax on soft drinks over 32 ounces. I mean, I'm not suggesting anything like that. That's going way too far. What I'm suggesting is help people out. Instead of adding a tax to junky food, do the opposite. Remove taxes from the healthy food and basically let people know, say, look, we think you should be eating this kind of food, which you should be eating. So we're going to help you out by not taxing you on the healthier food, the fruits, the vegetables, the lean meats. Reviews for noobs. It's funny how smallish bottle of water costs more than a big bottle of Coke. Yeah, and again, that is also part of the problem, though I will tell you a great option. When I'm going to be traveling, instead of going into one of the convenience stores, spending $2 on a 20-ounce bottle of Dasani, I will go ahead and buy a bunch of the gallon jugs of water. These you can get at Aldi for 69 to 79 cents, depending on your area. I keep them in the fridge, and I just take them with me, and this will last me all day long. So that's a great option. Eric Brunhammer, in New Jersey, most food is untaxed. It's weird. New York is the same way, but again, in Virginia here, food is taxed. What is it? 6%, just like everything else. Of course, we're one of the only states that has a personal property or luxury tax. Do you guys know that for every car we own in our state each year, we have to pay a tax on it? Even something, now the older the vehicle, the less value it has, the lower the tax. But let me give you an example. My 2010 Chrysler Town and Country, I think I pay like $200 a year just in personal property tax. That is not including the registration tax either, or the registration. So we have some weird things in Virginia, I tell you. Dabbler's Buffet, by the way, when you did that video on the Wegmans, I was surprised to see the K-Cups come in 80 packs. I've only heard of 12 packs. Oh yeah, I mean, you can get 80 packs in Walmart too, depending on the brand. I'm glad you guys saw that video because I really do like Wegmans a lot. If you have one near you, I highly suggest shopping there. And one thing I will say about Wegmans, they have healthy food options pretty much everywhere, even in their cafeteria. So if you have one close to work and you're looking for a healthy lunch, you can go to Wegmans and get almost every kind of healthy food, and it is healthy. Most of their prepared food is non-GMO. What is it? Non-GMO, organic. I mean, they have really good options there. Love their pizza, by the way. If I haven't said that before, and I know I have, the my favorite pie that they have there is the white pie. More specifically, the one that has the ricotta cheese instead of the marinara, mozzarella fontina on top of that, and as a topping, they put whole cloves of garlic. May not be everybody's cup of tea, but it is delicious. Matter of fact, last time I went there, I got 2 slices of that instead of the regular cheese pizza, which I usually get. And before anybody asks, it is just like New York pizza, mainly because it is a New York company. They're actually out of Rochester. That's where their home base is. I'm not sure what bovine fences are. You'll have to elaborate on that. Reviews for Noobs says, wish I could drink coffee. It gives me the trots. Man, I kind of wish it did that to me. I need something to keep the waterworks going. Oh, wait a minute. Did I misread that? Oh, feces. I got you. Oh, okay. I misread that. I'm sorry, Eric. Bovine feces. But I couldn't live without my coffee. I'm like a zombie until I have my 2 cups of coffee every morning. Never heard of Harvey Supermarket. Eric Brunhammer goes, I could go to BJ's and get an entire rotisserie chicken for $5. Yeah, and believe it or not, they are pretty healthy too. I mean, that is a great option. I'll never forget back when my mother was working, dad was working, and I had to pretty much do dinner because I was working out of the house like I do now. There were times that I would go to BJ's, get the $5 chicken, bring it home, and I would cook up saffron, the Mahatma saffron yellow rice. I would cut up peppers and onions, and basically I would saute them together. I would cook the rice, saute the peppers and onions, put the peppers and onions into the saffron rice, and then I would pull apart the chicken, and I'd have very easy to make chicken and rice. And again, pretty healthy. I mean, it is kind of high on carbs with the rice, but one of my favorites. Oh, Dan MPTX is right on the money. Victor Allen Donut Shop Blend, 80 cup box, $28 on Amazon. I love Victor Allen coffee. Our local Big Lot sells it, and I haven't actually gotten it in a while. I might have to go back and pick up some. But yeah, Victor Allen is a very like it's really a boutique brand of coffee, but around here you can pretty much get it anywhere. Roses carries it. A lot of the discount stores carry it, but it is really, really good. Really very, very rich, very bold coffee without being bitter, and that is very hard to do because most bold brew or bold roasted or dark roasted coffee to me tastes bitter. Hence the reason I don't really get coffee from Starbucks very often. Reviews for Noobs says you're making me hungry. Well, I'm sorry or yay. I don't know how to respond to that one. Robert Jones says, I have to go to food pantries sometimes. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. We all get down on our luck sometimes, and, you have to do what you have to do. And again, that just goes back to what I was saying about people that like live on minimum wage and have no choice but to go eat like from the dollar menu at McDonald's. I get it. I mean, I've been there before. I have been on assistance in the past, and I know how hard it can be. But even when you're on you're down on your luck, you're on assistance, or you're on a well, let's not even say it. Let's just say you're on a fixed income. There are still ways to eat healthy. You can go to these discount grocery stores like Aldi, and you can get fresh produce that is healthy for you, fruits and vegetables at very reasonable prices. Now, is it going to be as cheap as, buying the junkier food? Probably not. You're probably going to still be spending 5 or 10% more. But in most cases, people can find that 5 or 10% more. Give you an example. To afford that, avoid eating out one day or skip that Starbucks coffee that maybe you get a few times a week. Mm. Oh, I'm so sorry, everybody. I am very dry tonight. 11 likes, 10 watchers. Nice. Very nice. Never heard of Victor Allen and Tim Hortons. Now, I'm not surprised about not hearing about Tim Hortons. That's more of a northern, actually, is a Canadian company. But they're trying. They've opened some stores here in the U.S. and they are importing their coffee. Tim Hortons coffee to me is so. It depends. I like the Tim Hortons donut shop or the regular roast, but their dark roast, the bar bold coffee, is way too bitter for my liking. That's good, Eric. I'm glad that you've kind of given up the coffee. Again, that's probably my one indulgence, let's say. I don't indulge on sweets or junk food anymore. Heck, I can't even tell you the last time I ate a potato chip. But I do like coffee, and I probably drink way too much of it. If I have to, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I drink probably the equivalent of 32 to 48 ounces of coffee a day. That's about 4 cups for me. And it is too much. I know it is, but I love it. And you have to have something. You have to have something that you like. If it wasn't for coffee, then yeah, I'd probably be going back to those potato chips or the ho-hos, which are one of my favorite junk foods back in the day. So I guess it's better than going there because the coffee is not, at the end of the day, is not going to put the weight back on. Eric says, but wish me luck though. I gave up Wawa tea. Whoa, Eric, awesome. I know you've been wanting to do that for a long time. And just apply to the Wawa bottling plant where they make it. LOL. Oh no. Temptation coming back at you. No, but I think you'd be able to. I know you're pretty strong willed, Eric, when you want to be. You're right. Mr. Jimmy, coffee is definitely my kryptonite. I fully admit I am a coffee addict. And the bad thing about that is, for somebody who has high blood pressure, and yes, I still do suffer with slightly high blood pressure, ever so slightly. Coffee is probably one of the worst things you could do because coffee has caffeine, and yes, caffeine does raise blood pressure. Robert Jones, I think that my exercise is keeping regular. Well, that's good. I hope you mean that it's keeping you. Why don't we read that again? Exercise is keeping regular. That mean you're able to use the bathroom on a regular basis, or you're doing exercise regularly. Well, either way, it's good, right? Dabbler's Buffet, very good point. Coffee, just like with anything else, is okay to consume as long as it is in moderation. And that is definitely a problem for a lot of us. I'm one of them. Me both. And that's what I gave up last November. Well, let me give you guys an update on steps. I'm at 15,000 steps today, which is actually kind of low for me, though I could probably get a few more when I finish this live stream, mainly because I'm still working on those computers. I did want to take a minute and address a few questions and comments that people had about the computer hall video I did a couple of days ago, the live stream, I should say. I've actually started working on some of those systems. I've got a couple of the desktops up and running, and I've finished two of those Panasonic Toughbooks. Now, the desktops are great. I mean, they are in really good shape, and I'm able to pretty much knock those out pretty quick. On the other hand, the Toughbooks, the Panasonic Toughbooks, are another story. I know a lot of you guys on my channel expressed interest in purchasing one of those. I'm not sure I'm going to be selling those online. And the reason being is, as I'm digging deeper into these, I'm noticing that they are in much rougher shape than I thought. I acquired 10 of them. They're Panasonic CF19 Core i5 Toughbooks. They are all functional. Every single one of them works. All of them boot up. They all have the 120 gigabyte SSD, 4 gigs of RAM, and they're all Windows 10 capable. But they're rough. Every one of them has at least a few cosmetic flaws. About 4 or 5 out of the 10 have a missing key or two on the keyboard. Some of the other ones have like big dents in the casing, which again is not a big deal, being that they're still fully functional. But the reason I don't want to sell them online is because I don't want anybody to be disappointed when they get it. And maybe it's just me. I know I am a very picky person. Normally, I would never have dreamed of buying laptops that were that rough. And again, they're rough because they were used. These were used by a EMT, a medical transport company. And they most definitely were thrown probably against walls a few times, dropped off tables, who knows what. So I think, at least for the time being, until I can dig deeper into it, I'm going to go ahead and hold on to these laptops, maybe refurbish a few and sell them locally, but I want the people that are buying them to actually see them and use them and look at them in person before they commit to buying it. That's just me. I am very, very loyal to my customers, and I don't like selling computers that are in that kind of shape at all, honestly. What do you look for when checking computers? Robert Jones asks. It's an excellent question. And again, I don't want to go too far into tech talk here because that's not what this live stream is about. But mainly, I check the hardware. So the memory, the hard drive, make sure that the motherboard is functioning properly. If all that's good, then you can fix the software, usually just by formatting it and putting a new install of Windows on. All right, tubers. Let's get back on topic here. Again, this is about lifestyle change, fitness, and the weight loss goals. I haven't actually heard anybody tell me. I want to see some numbers out there. I know Nick Roberts shared, but I want to go ahead and let me know what weight you've lost recently. Like, what did you go from and what are you at right now? If you're comfortable with sharing that information. If you're not, that's cool. But I'd like to get some numbers out there. I'd like to see what other people have successfully lost in recent months or years. Boy, Baxter is really comfortable right now on the bed. Ooh, excuse me. Well, as Jim Varney used to say as Ernest, better on the attic, out the attic than the basement. Nothing. All right, looks like everybody's a little too shy to to share their actual weight. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this live stream here. I think we're losing people here, and I really appreciate you coming. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Here we go. We got one. Sakwan goes, always seem to stay around 85 kilograms, give or take a couple of kilograms. Okay, Robert Jones says I went from 436 to 426, so 10 pounds. Hey, any weight loss is good. I will never forget what my physician told me, that the best thing for your health is the first 10 to 15 pounds you lose. In other words, as soon as you lose that 10 to 15 pounds, that's going to have the most significant impact on your health. So, Robert Jones, you've lost 10 pounds, lose 5 more, and that's great. I mean, I'm not saying stop. By all means, keep losing weight if you feel like you want to. But just losing 10 pounds has a drastic increase on your health. It actually helps improve your health immensely. Eric Brunhammer goes, I'm still around the 300 mark. You know what? We do plateau at times, and just try to follow some of my guidelines, and I can guarantee you, you are going to lose some more weight. All right, tubers, I am definitely going to end it here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please continue to like and subscribe. And as always, have a blessed day, everybody.